What's up, everybody? We are back for another waiver wire video. The first few weeks of the season are so important to try and identify players that we can scoop off the wire that will hold season-long value and help us on our road to a fantasy basketball championship. In this video, we're going to go over shallow league ads, where I think most of these guys are probably already rostered in super competitive 12-man leagues. But make sure you check this section because there's a ton of good guys available. And if they're floating around on your wire, you need to pick them up right now. We'll also go over the main waiver wire section, where I think most of these guys will be available in a majority of leagues. And then I'm going to go over some players who I think you shouldn't panic on, who you should hold, and then also some players that you can just kick to the curb, see you later, smell you later, get out of here. If you haven't checked out my buy low, sell high video, it's right here. If you haven't checked out my previous waiver wire video, maybe some of these guys are still floating around in your league, it's right here. And I just want to let you guys know, I've been working on my mini hoop jumper. I've been refining my mechanics. I've been grinding after my usual 9 to 5 up all night, just perfecting my stroke. For those of you who don't know me, I am Chris, and welcome to Number 2 Sports. Okay, first up, we have Nickeil Alexander-Walker from the Atlanta Hawks. Now, it was slowly starting to come around on Nah before the Trae Young injury. Besides the opening night where he is absolutely horrendous from the field, going 2 for 15, like D-League rec basketball type stuff after 6 beers, he's been crushing it. He's been ranked 38th in the last 14 days for 9cat. Nah is scoring, hitting threes, shooting at a high clip, sprinkling in counting stats across the board. It looks like he's been a great fit so far in Atlanta as like a secondary scorer for them and as an extra added defensive presence with his length and athleticism, and he's really soaked up a ton of usage at the expense of Dyson Daniels. But I don't think that's going to be any issue moving forward with Trae Young's extended absence coming up. There's going to be plenty of ball to go around. All this usage is going to get sucked up by Walker, Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels. I think his outlook moving forward is going to be great for the short term, and I think he'll be a decent fit for the long term as well. I don't think he can be floating around on any 12 league team wires right now. He's becoming a nice 1-2 punch with Dyson Daniels in the backcourt on the defense. He's stealing more balls than panties right now. I think Nah needs to be rostered, and I like his outlook going forward. And anytime I see Nah, I always just think of NA West. Now, I don't know if this is nerdy, but I used to play a ton of Valorant with boys back in the day, and that was just always what server we played on. And anytime I see it, it's just the first thing that pumps in my head. But man, I do miss gaming with the boys back in the day. Take me back. Next up, we'll keep going with Jeremiah Fears. Now, Fears had an absolute clunker a few games ago, but I do think that was an anomaly. But it is also something just to remember when dealing with rookies, the ups and downs, especially from a shooting perspective, that they're prone to go through in their first year in the league. I'm definitely intrigued by Fears' recent role, eclipsing 30 minutes per night practically the last 2 games. It's definitely come at the expense of Jordan Poole, and with Poole, he can be so hard, he can be so difficult to keep on the floor because he's terrible on the defensive end. He's going to jack up a ton of shots, and when he's just off shooting, he's gonna have atrocious lines for fantasy and real life. So it looks like Fears is starting to get a little bit of an extended run here to maybe take over that starting spot from Poole. It definitely looks like Fears has a green light, considering he's almost got up over 15 shots per contest the last 2 games. He's a natural scorer. He has a natural scoring ability as demonstrated at college when he was at Oklahoma. His playmaking will work at the NBA level as well, and being the 7th overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the Pelicans want to develop him into a franchise player, and this is definitely being a promising start. I still would want to see a few more games with this increased usage, with this increased minutes, to see if they start to lean more to Fear's side and push Poole more to a bench role or lower minutes before I fully buy in on him. But I am definitely perked up. Fears has got my attention right now. Fears can help you in the points category. He's going to bring down some boards. He's a very good playmaker, so he's going to help you in the assists. He's been active on the defensive end. He's getting his hands on a lot of balls. So he's going to help you in the swipe department. He can go through some shooting inefficiencies, as you've seen in the young start to his career. But again, with rookies, you can't expect that in the early going, but you just hope that it gets slowly better as the season goes on and get more adjusted to the NBA level. I'm adding Fears right now in 12-team leagues just to see if this sticks. Next up, we have Isaiah Collier. Now, this is definitely more of a deep league ad, or if you have an open IL spot right now, to grab him on the IL, put him on there, see what his role is going to look like when he gets healthy, when he gets back onto the court, and see what the rotations are going to be with this Utah Jazz team, because I know George has been balling out, and it definitely has put a damper on Collier's outlook. I was kind of high on him as a sleeper coming into this year, because I think he's been given that role as a starting point guard in the past with Utah, and I thought he was going to come in, cement himself, and be a high assist guy while scoring decently, being able to pull down some boards. But that's definitely been muddied in the early really going with George playing so well. The one thing about that though is George has been there in the past when Collier's there, and the Utah coaching staff and management has still given every ample opportunity to Collier to be that starting guard. So that could still be the situation when he gets back. I'm not sure. The one thing with Collier's game though is I really hope he did work on his 3-point stroke in the offseason, because that's really put a damper on his fantasy value and his real life value if he's not able to spread the floor like most NBA players just have to be able to do now in today's NBA. But like I was saying, Collier has the ability to be a double-digit assist guy, grab some boards, be active on the defensive end, score close to double-digit points per night if his 3-point stroke has improved. I'm hoping he takes another step forward this year. It all just really depends on what Utah's going to do with his minutes, what the rotation's going to look like when he gets back on the court. And yeah, like I said in the beginning, if you have an open IL spot, it's no harm adding him now, letting him rot on there for a few games, see what it looks like. And if he's good, you can bring him back in. But if not, you can just kick him back to the curb. No harm, no foul. Okay, we'll keep going with Josh Minott from the Boston Celtics. Now, really, this probably should be in the shallow league section because I assume he's probably scooped up in all those super competitive 12 league teams already. But just because his roster rate is still around 20% in Yahoo, I'm going to keep him in the main section. But just know, I do know that, guys, okay? So yeah, like I was saying, he's been a very popular pickup this week. He had an absolute clunker last game, not cracking 20 minutes, shooting an atrocious 3 from 11 from the floor, but he still produced an okay line for counting stats with 6 boards, 3 assists, and 2 steals. I love Minott's motor. His athleticism is just top notch. He will always produce on the defensive end. He's always going to get after it for Boston. Hopefully that secures him a decent minutes floor going forward as just that motor defensive anchor on that Boston Celtics team. And if Minott can lock down a starter's role in Boston, he'll produce for 12-team leagues rest of season. He is one of those guys that you can pick up, and if his role sticks, if his usage sticks, he'll produce for us the whole year. And that's so valuable to be able to pick up a guy off waivers and have that. Now, Minott may have some inconsistent shooting nights, but the hustle will always be there. Make sure he isn't floating around on your wires right now if you're in a 12-team league, as the opportunity before him is just too huge to pass up. Okay, we'll finish up with probably another borderline guy for the main section, but whatever, man, I'm gonna do it, and that's Bilal Coulibaly. Now, I like saying that name, Coulibaly, from the Washington Wizards. Now, I assume he is probably scooped up in a majority of 12-team leagues, but if he isn't, you definitely should consider adding him. He missed the start of the season to injury. He has a well-rounded fantasy game. He looks healthy. He looks quick back on the court. He can score. He can rebound. He can pass the rock. He can steal, and he can definitely block down shots. His athleticism is top-notch. He has a great vert, great bounce in him, and he hopefully will shoot well enough to just not absolutely destroy your percentages. Now, I know the Wizards team is young, has lots of wings and lots of guards in the rotation, but I think he'll carve out a decent role, a great role, and be set up to have maybe a potentially little third-year breakout that we like to see from these guys if everything falls right. I like the upside with Coulibaly, and I wouldn't hesitate grabbing him off the wire. Okay, now time for the shallow league segment. Again, most of these guys will probably already be rostered in super competitive 12-man leagues, but you want to watch this section just in case some of these guys still are floating around on your wire, because I think these guys have a boatload of value in the short term and long term and should just be more rostered, should be above that 50% threshold on Yahoo. First up, we got the Grimes, man, Quentin Grimes from the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, after a crazy finish to last year where Grimes helped a ton of managers win fantasy basketball championships, putting up career numbers, a lot of people came into the season thinking that Grimes wouldn't perform like that and were down on him, and rightfully so. Philly was in full tank mode at the end of last year, and Embiid wasn't playing. Grimes wasn't competing with anyone really after Maxey got shut down, so the entire offense was flowing through him. But going into this year, Grimes was competing for touches with Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Kelly Oubre Jr., Jared McCain, and that's not even really counting Embiid or Paul George. So you are probably wondering why I think he's going to hold rest of season value. Well, first off, Embiid looks terrible. He doesn't look like he's going to stay healthy. It doesn't look like his body's going to stay healthy throughout the regular season. I just think there's no way. George still hasn't played, and again, he's so injury prone. I don't know what his usage or his minutes are going to look like whenever he does get back on the court. And Grimes, through the first 4 games of the season, has averaged 32, 30, 26, and 39 minutes with averages of 17.8 points, 5 rebounds, 3.8 assists, 3.3 threes made per night while shooting 43% from the floor. The usage and minutes look solid right now, and Embiid will still sit out lots depending how long his health does hold up. And again, George, huge question mark, making Grimes a solid end of the rotation guy, end of the bench guy for 12 league teams moving forward. Next up, we have Colin Sexton. Now, Sexton definitely is a shorter term replacement guy because he's an injury replacement for Brandon Miller. Because if we look outside of that, in the one game that they fully did play together, Sexton only logged 17 minutes. So that's kind of what we should expect the rotations to look like when Miller does get healthy and get back onto the court. I'm not sure when that's going to be, but there always is that lurking loom of LaMelo Ball missing a ton of time, which would bump Sexton back up, bump his minutes and his usage back up to being usable for 12-team leagues. So Sexton does have a nice fantasy profile. He just never was expected to get the minutes and or the usage in that crowded Hornets frontcourt with, again, LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, the nipple, to really put it to use. But since Miller went down, Sexton has averaged 29 minutes per game while taking upwards of 10 shots a game on most nights. As a former top 10 pick, Sexton has the talent to score, hit threes, play make, all while being efficient from the floor. I like him as an add in 12-team leagues with Miller out, and he's always going to be on the watch list due to the lurking doom of LaMelo's injury history. His name also just, perks me up. Now, honestly, what a transition going from the Sexman to the nipple. Knipple from the Charlotte Hornets. Now, the same sort of logic that I just talked about with Sexton, the nipple, Knipple, is in a logjam with guards and wings, but what the other guys don't have going for them is that they weren't the number 4 overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft. That means that the Hornets want and will give him every opportunity to succeed because they want him to become a franchise player along the likes of Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball. The one downside to the nipple, though, is he doesn't really get after it on the defensive end, and even though I really do think he has good defensive instincts, and in college at Duke he averaged over 1 steal per game, I just don't know if we can expect much of that from his game going forward, at least at this point of his career. Maybe when he bulks up a little bit, gets used and adjusted to the physicality of the NBA, we might see an uptick, but right now I wouldn't count on it. But he'll be a good source of threes, points, boards, and field goal percentage, and should be rostered in 12-man leagues with potential for improvement later in the year. Free the nipple, man. Go at him, and let's bring that back. Let's keep rolling with Ryan Rollins. Now, Rollins is finally getting a chance to play, averaging over 31 minutes per night so far because of the Kevin Porter Jr. injury game 1. The guy can hoop, man. He's a scorer. He's got a quick first step, and he just gives it on the defensive end, which I just love to see. It's an absolute motor back there. He takes no plays off. He'll be in your face 24/7. I just love his mentality, and it's shown up in the steal department so far. Now, the 30-point explosion against Golden State isn't realistic because Giannis wasn't playing, so there are tons of shots available for whoever wanted, and Rollins wanted it. But I see no reason why he can't average around 15 points with a couple of threes, a couple of steals, 5 to 6 assists, and a handful of boards per night while not destroying your percentages. The real question here is what's going to happen with Kevin Porter Jr. when he's healthy enough to return? What is Doc River going to do with his rotations? How is he going to divvy out the minutes? That remains to be seen. I'm not a close buddy with Doc Rivers, so we haven't been texting lately, so I have no idea what his plan is. But I think even regardless of that, he just has too much juice right now to be left on the wire, even if we don't know what the situation is going to be like when Kevin Porter Jr. returns. It's not like Kevin was some pure bona fide guaranteed stud that we're talking about either. He has a whack load of problems. There's a very good chance that Rollins doesn't give up his starting job going forward. Jabari Smith Jr., and I'm actually kind of surprised that he qualified for this, being under 50% rostered. I thought he'd be drafted in most 12-team leagues, but he's getting a ton of minutes, can hit the corner 3, he can get after it on the defensive end, be a plus in the stock categories. Houston has invested a lot into him. Smith is a long, lanky defender, which will always keep him on the floor. I like Smith. I think his upside is sky high. If he starts to carve out more of a prominent role in this offense behind Şengün and Durant at probably the expense of Amen Thompson. So it might not happen, but he could be deadly if he gets that kind of usage going forward in 12-man leagues. Next up, we got the big man from the Boston Celtics, Neemias Queta. Now, coming into the year, everyone was just wondering who was going to take that starting gig with so much usage, so much minutes available on this new look Boston Celtics roster this year. And so far, it looks like it has been Queta. He's getting around 25 minutes per night. Scoring has been inconsistent, which I think we can expect moving forward as Boston lives and dies outside the three-point line more than any other team in the NBA. So there will be few and far between ISO post-ups for the big fella. We're not going to expect that. He'll have to eat on putbacks and lobs, but Queta has been active on the boards, active on the glass, and active on the defensive end, which will be his strong suits. If you need traditional big man stats, Queta is a cheap source of that and should be an end of the rotation guy in way more 12-man leagues. So probably my favorite guy on this list, who I don't think should be floating around anywhere. I don't have bias, man, I swear. But that's Jonathan Kuminga from the Golden State Warriors. Now, Kuminga's role looks so secure, and he's finally in Steve Kerr's good books. He looks motivated. He looks in control. Something I really wanted to see from him coming into this year is Kuminga's played so much out of control in the past. He's not playing within himself. He still needs to know that this is Steph Curry's offense first. And I was just really curious if he had the ability to adapt his game around that. And so far this season, it looks like he's done that, which is impressive in both real life and for his fantasy game. Kuminga is learning when to attack, when to drive, when to kick. He's active on the boards. He's getting assists. I really see no reason why he can't produce like this for Golden State going forward. He finally looks like he's learned to play in control, which I assume he really hasn't had to his whole career because just of his freak athleticism, length, speed, quickness, he's never really probably had to play in a structure like that because he could just beat his defender one-on-one at any given times just by his pure God-given abilities. But he's learning it because he has to in that free-flowing, open motion offense that Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors run, because if he can't adapt to it, like you've seen in years past, he's just not going to play. He's solidifying himself as a rock-solid third option in that high-scoring Golden State offense. Man, how sick is this Hornets team with Sexton, the nipple, and the big cock? Like, this is GOAT status. Didn't mean to flex it there. For fantasy team name ideas. So yes, you guessed it, we got Ryan Cockbrenner next. And again, he's solidifying himself. He continues to solidify himself as a starting center there. The last 2 games, he's averaged over 30 minutes per night. He's getting close to bringing down a double-double with boards and points. He's being active on the defensive end. He's swatting multiple shots, a thing he did in college, so I'm not worried about that discontinuing. I think he'll continue to get better as he gets adjusted to the speed again and the physicality, puts on some more muscle. He's going to get a ton of easy looks playing with LaMelo Ball, a ton of dunks, ton of putbacks, ton of oops. He's been on fire from the floor. He's barely missing. I don't think he's going to continue shooting at this high of a clip, so you can expect a little regression in that department. But again, it's not like he's taking a ton of outside shots. He's getting a bunch of easy looks from LaMelo. But I've been very impressed from the rookie, and I think he's going to continue to be very useful for fantasy teams rest of the year. The big cock should not be floating on any 12-team league wires right now. So next up we have Dylan Harper. Now I don't know what this is really going to look like once De'Aaron Fox returns, because it's going to be crowded there in the guard position with Fox, Castle, Vassell, and Harper. But I love the upside from the 2nd overall pick in the 2025 draft. He was lights out at college in Rutgers. I love his game. I love his potential. I love his skill set. There will be bumps in the road for the rookie, as you can expect. But if he can get over 25 minutes per night, he's going to be useful all season long. He's able to score, he'll hit threes, he'll rebound the basketball. He's a great playmaker, a great facilitator. He can get active on the defensive end. He's not going to block a lot of shots, but he'll get you some swipes. He'll shoot decent from the floor. He's good from the charity line. And I think he'll continue to get better as he gets more adjusted to the NBA as the season goes on. It's just all about the minutes, especially when Fox returns. I don't know what the rotations are going to be like, but if Fox returns and he's still getting upwards of 25 minutes per night, I want him on my team in 12 league teams. And last up, we got another rookie, Cedric Coward, Mr. Coward from the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, the rookie got his first double-double of his young NBA career, so good for him. Good for you, boy. With 13 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, while going 4 from 11 from the field. He had been shooting ridiculous from the floor to start out his career, so I knew it had to regress. He wasn't going to continue shooting that well each night rest of season. It looks like his role's probably going to be decently secure moving forward. I think he'll be anywhere from the 26 to 30 minutes per night, and if he continues to get that, which I think he will, he'll have the ability to carve out a nice role in that Memphis team down Desmond Bane alongside John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. He could be close to a double-digit point guy, a double-digit rebound guy, a handful of assists, and he might most likely get active on the defensive end, getting some swipes. I don't think he's going to be a huge three-pointer guy. I know he hit 6 threes one game, but that was ridiculous. He was unconscious from beyond the arc. He's good from the line. I don't think his first 3 games are super realistic for his value moving forward, but I think like his last 3, he'll have some up and downs. Again, all rookies do, but again, he should be way more rostered than this in 12-man leagues. Okay, now let's get into the section for players to hold, where I don't think you should overreact by these guys' slow starts. We got to give them a little bit more time. We got to see a little bit more game data before we consider dropping them on our teams. First up, I see a lot of people dropping them, a lot of people overreacting. That's Cam Johnson off the Denver Nuggets. Now again, he's new. He's filling in for Michael Porter Jr. He's just getting adjusted, playing with new teammates, new system, new head coach, everything. We have to give him a little bit more time. Let him see if we can get his feet underneath him, get accustomed to playing with such a high usage guy in Joker and Jamal Murray. If he's still like this in a couple of weeks, we can revisit this conversation then. Next up, we have Herbie Jones, who had 3 really rough games after a great season opener. Couple of those he was in foul trouble. Couple of those the Pelicans just got absolutely blown out. He did play a lot better last game. He hit 3 threes. He didn't have a ton of stocks because again, stocks is going to be his main thing. You got to give him a bit more time. It's been a weird start to the season for the Pelicans. Like I said, foul trouble and then absolute blowouts. He should be a menace on the defensive end all season long, especially in category leagues. Just wait a little bit more because again, I think he can be very useful for 12-team leagues going forward. So if you guys watch my preseason videos, my pre-draft videos, I was not high on Josh Hart at all for his current ADP where he was getting selected. And it's kind of played out like I would thought. I honestly didn't think it would be this bad. He's looked really poor in his first few games. The last game was like rock bottom for him. There's no way he's going to be that bad moving forward. I am worried about him. Like I thought in the pre-draft process about his minutes, he hasn't cracked over 30 minutes per night yet. It's going to be different without Thibs there riding his guys. Mitchell Robinson is also returning, which clouds his role even more. But again, he's not going to be that bad like last game going forward. There's just no way. We have to hold out on Hart a little bit longer. Again, I wasn't super high on him preseason, but he's not this bad. He's not a droppable guy. Now, this one's kind of like soft hold. I'm kind of teetering on this, but that's Brandon Podziemski off the Golden State Warriors, especially with Kuminga just solidifying himself as that rock solid third option, like I talked about in the shallow league segment. It's making me a little bit concerned about Podziemski's role and stuff going forward, but I do like him as a stat stuffing guard, especially in the counting stats, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals. But I'm not going to fault you if there's someone really tasty on the wire to drop pods and move on, because I'm giving him about another week or so and then he's probably done for me in 12-team leagues unless something happens. And the last one's easy, Jalen Suggs. We just got to give him time to get ramped back up to full speed, see what his role usage minutes are going to look like then, and then we can make a decision on him. It's too early yet. He's still in the ramp up process. Okay, now we're going on to players to drop, to punt, see you later, get him off your teams, gone. And first up, that's Klay Thompson. Again, name value is crazy. Klay is not useful enough. He's unfortunately washed. We don't need him for 12-man leagues. Psh, get him out of here. Next up is Bub Carrington. Now, I was hopeful about him going into the year, but it doesn't look like he's solidifying himself in that young Washington team. I don't know how useful he's really going to be outside of some assists. You can definitely let him go for some higher upside guys that are most likely available on your waiver wire. Next up, Big Zach Reishire. Next up, Zachary Reishire. I actually don't know. I can't pronounce that name. It feels like I'm having a stroke. But yeah, you know who I'm talking about. He's looked absolutely terrible. Garbage. We don't need him. Go chase someone with higher upside. And Obi Toppin, unfortunately, he got that injury and he's going to be out for quite a while, so we don't need to hold on to him. And then Bobby Portis Jr. I just don't think he's going to have a sizable role at all. We don't need to be hanging on to him. I don't think anything's drastically going to change in that Bucks lineup. You can say bye-bye to Bobby. Okay, so for anybody that's new here or hasn't followed me through the fantasy baseball season, I always recap my prior waiver wire videos because I always hate it. You see guys on YouTube, Twitter, whatever online that just post about all their picks that they hit, but they never talk about the ones that they didn't, that could have screwed you over or screwed me over. So again, I do this for myself and for you guys to know that I hold myself accountable and I'm just trying to get better at fantasy basketball every single day. So we're going to recap my last week's waiver wire video. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this. We're just going to quickly go to see how they did. And if they're terrible, like a terrible week, there will be a punishment. Okay, from that previous waiver wire video last week, we're going to go over Trey Jones, Chris Middleton, Obi Toppin, the Big Cock, Ryan Cockbrenner, Grayson Allen, Nikola Jovic, Kyle Filipowski, Jalen Wells, and a bonus guy who I believe was PJ Washington. So first up, Trey Jones. Again, I said it was a short-term ad. He's going to be an absolute stud until Kobe White returns. And again, he's putting out numbers each night. He's going to be great. You keep starting him every game until White returns, and then you go from there. Chris Middleton, on the other hand, he had that insane game against the Bucks. I think he was just excited for that homecoming. Really wanted to show out for the fans, for the team that he used to play for the majority of his career. He's been kind of crappy in the other games. His minutes have been dropping in the low 20s in some, and he hasn't really been scoring. Like, if we look at his last game, only 6 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists. If there's a bunch of high upside guys on the wire, I would not fault you from dropping Middleton and moving on, unless you're in like a really deep 12-man league or 14, 16-man league where Middleton still can be useful for you on most nights. Obi Toppin, he looked great. This was going to be good, but then he has that injury, so that sucks. Oh, and for the people that are new here, we don't count unexpected injuries like that as a negative. I can't predict that. I'm not no fucking future teller, fortune teller, or whatever. So it's just a neutral thing. Sucks for Toppin. I think he actually was going to be pretty good. The big cock, Ryan Cockburner, I had him in the Shallow Leagues ad segment this video again, so that means he's been great. He shouldn't be available. Go pick him up. This is a good one. Grayson Allen, again, kind of like an injury replacement until Jalen Green returns. Dylan Brooks also got hurt. Allen has been eating, and I do have some hope for him continuing to be relevant for 12-man leagues going forward. He just needs the minutes. He's shown it in the past. If he gets around 30 minutes per night, he's going to be useful. Nikola Jovic, not to be mistaken for Nikola Jokic. But again, Jovic, I thought he was going to get a little bit better. I thought he was going to get more minutes. The last game was just completely rock bottom. 9 minutes, 0 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. Like, what even is that garbage? I know he was dealing with a hip contusion, hip injury, so maybe that played into it. But if we look back at his prior few games for that, like 22 minutes, 25 minutes, 27 minutes, that one game with 27, he did do good. That was kind of like the line I was hoping to expect from him moving forward, if he can creep closer to that 30 minutes per night. But if he's going to be buried in the low 20s or below that, he's not going to be useful enough for 12-man league. And at this point, he's definitely a guy that I'd just throw on the watch list and just monitor that Miami Heat team and see what happens when Tyler Herro returns. For all you pronunciation checkers out there, I am actually pretty terrible at it, so I do appreciate when you guys do let me know. Next one is Kyle Filipowski, and this is looking like a big L. His minutes have just plummeted. 16 the game prior, 10 minutes last game, 2 points, 2 boards, 1 assist. Again, if anyone's getting 10 minutes, they're on the wire. You're not even thinking about them at all. Again, I like Kyle Filipowski. I like his game when he's getting minutes, when he's getting usage. I have no idea what's happening with Utah. I don't know if they know what's happening, but you do not need to hold on to Filipowski right now. He's just one of the guys you throw on the watch list. If you see him a couple games getting plus 25 minutes, he will be useful in that situation. But if this is going to be the norm, nope. So next up for Jalen Wells, I definitely recommend him as an ad if you're in search of threes, in need of 3-pointers for a category league, because that's going to be his main thing of contribution is threes, points. He's not going to do much else. He will get some boards, but as you can tell, he's not the biggest playmaker. He's not the most active on the defensive end. His field goal percentage can be crappy at times for a younger guy. I like that he's getting around 30 minutes per night, but unless you're in desperate need of threes, you don't need to hold on to him. You can definitely send him back to the wire, but again, he's another guy that you'd throw on the watch list just to see if something changes with that Memphis rotation, with the Memphis usage as the season continues on. And last up, PJ Washington, the bonus guy, and he's actually been really good. If you look at his game log, he's kind of stuffing it each and every night. That 8 turnover game was just atrocious, but it looks like that was just an anomaly. It looks like he's got that under control. He's going to hit some threes, he's going to score some points. He's going to get close to double-digit rebounds per game, it looks. He'll dish the rock a little bit, sprinkle of assists. He can get active on the defensive end, so he's going to be a plus or even in the stock categories. He'll be an all right field goal percentage shooter. I bet you at the end of the day, when the season's all said and done, PJ Washington is going to be a top 100 player. He's not the sexiest, he's not the most flashy guy to own. But if you're looking for a solid value, solid contributor near the end of your roster, PJ Washington's your guy. All right, so if we tally this up here, Trey Jones, good. Chris Middleton, bad. Obi Toppin, even. Unlucky injury. The big cock, great. Grayson Allen, good. Nikola Jovic, that's bad, unfortunate. Kyle Filipowski, oh, another bad, 2 L's in a row. Jalen Wells, I'm going neutral, because I do think if you do need threes, points, he is a cheap source of that. And he has potential, because he is a younger guy, to get better as the season goes on. So I'm going neutral there. And then bonus guy, PJ Washington, ending up with the double thumbs at the end. So if we do some math here, calculator. So 4 goods, 2 neutrals, and 3 bads. So usually I would give myself a pass for this. That's decent. But since this is the first recap of the year, I got to show you guys that I mean it about a punishment. So here we go. All right, but I think that's it for this waiver wire video. I appreciate all you guys liking, commenting, subscribing. It means a lot. You guys are the best. And if you aren't subscribed, hit that button right there. Let's try and get to 1,500 by the next video. That would be wicked. I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, great rest of your week, and I'll see you guys real soon.